Welcome to Native Talk Arizona, presented by Native Health and KRDP 90.7 FM. I'm host Lanasha Puwadi. On the phone with me is CeCe Meadows, founder and CEO of Prados Beauty, and Chicana, an indigenous-owned cosmetic and personal care beauty products company. Hello, CeCe, and welcome to our show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, and your background?
Yeah, so I'm Chicana and I'm indigenous, and I am actually a native of Arizona. I was born in Phoenix, and I was raised outside of Yuma, Arizona, and spent my summers in Glendale and Chandler and Avondale with my family. And I'm also, Chicana is a term that's used because my father was born what is, now called Mexico, but we call it Mexica. And so being Chicana and being indigenous is something that has always been rooted in my upbringing and, just being proud of where we come from. And now I live in Massachusetts, New Mexico, which is the traditional lands of the Beetle Manso Tiwa people. And I live here with my beautiful husband and my beautiful 4 children.
Oh, wow. That is so amazing. Thank you for sharing that, CeCe. And can you give us an overview of your company?
Yeah, so Prados Beauty is something that I started in 2018. I'm a cancer survivor, and I wasn't really deep into makeup until I lost all of my hair. And, that culturally was a big shock because, I've always had super long hair. I had short hair like once or twice in my lifetime, but I mostly always wore, our long hair. Long hair has such value and has so many traditional, aspects of why we wear long hair. And when I lost that, I was just kind of really had to figure out who I was in myself. And so that's when my love for beauty and makeup came alive, because it was a tool that could be used to bring really what was buried down deep inside outward and be able to express yourself in a way that for me became a way of healing, really is what it was. And so my husband is a major in the U.S. Army, and we were stationed at West Point in New York. It's in the Hudson Valley. And I would go into Manhattan, into the city, and do makeup jobs. I started, immersing myself in helping others feel beautiful and securing jobs. And I got to work at New York Fashion Week. And, I started doing makeup for events for big makeup companies that had me as a influencer on their PR list. And although I loved it and it brought me so much joy, I always felt so lonely in the space. There was no Chicana or indigenous representation in my circles while I was there. And I thought, if there was ever a time that I wanted to create something that was going to be impactful, it needed to be here and it needed to be now. And so that was in 2018. So I started doing all the back work, doing trademarks, copyrights, putting together ideas about logos and what my, mission statement and what the things that, were going to be what they are right now. And for me, it was always driven with, this purpose to bring indigenous and Chicano people into the beauty space, but also be inclusive and it be a way for us to give back, to our communities and to our people. And so that's kind of where it started. I started in my baby girl's nursery. I started with $250 from a makeup job that I got, and I applied for a business license, and then I built a website on my own. I did my trademarks and my copyrights on my own, which I don't recommend. But, I just kind of did everything that I needed to do because I was just so, just driven by, the idea that I could possibly create something that would be impactful. And there was a lot of fear in that, but also a lot of drive, because I always tell people, like, we only have the first and, like, one chance to get it right when you start. and when you set a precedent and you set a standard of how you're going to do things, um, your people are watching. And so that was pretty much how I started Prados, and now we are our own distribution and warehousing center here in Massachusetts. We have a 3,000 square foot warehouse that we don't fit in. We actually need a bigger space, and I have my employees who help me run Prados, and it's a brick and mortar as well. There's a front house of the warehouse that's just for people to come in and shop, and we do our distribution and our warehousing for JCPenney. We're in 609 JCPenney stores across the U.S., and we'll be going into more retailers in 2024 and 2025.
Oh, wow. That is so amazing. Well, first off, CeCe, I want to thank you for sharing how amazing and great that you were able to beat cancer. That is so amazing. And I can't imagine all the challenges you had faced, but it's so amazing to hear that you are out of it. And now your company is definitely evolving from those challenges, and you're basically evolved a great and amazing beauty company. And but CeCe, what influenced and encouraged you to create specifically like these beauty products that you have?
You know, I was raised in a home where we had, you know, representation of our culture. Whether it was my uncle who had, you know, big posters and murals in his bedroom of, you know, like Azteca warriors and women, like beautiful women, like very Chicano culture. And then in my grandmother's living room, you know, you had pottery and rugs and just being immersed like that, like seeing that there was so much beauty in arts and what we do as people. And then going to Mexico with my grandparents during the summer and seeing how they did everything by hand, and the brick stoves and the adobe houses that we, you know, still lived in when I would go stay, and concrete floors, and wearing huaraches and beautiful traditional, you know, yaqui dresses and shirts, and learning how to sew. So I've always been around art, and I always just thought to myself, you know, Native and Indigenous culture is the number one cultural appropriated thing in the world. When you think about where the arts travel, you know, you don't appropriate, you know, a lot of European culture. You appropriate a lot of Native and Indigenous culture, and you can see it in textiles and in designs and blankets and clothes that you see at mega retailers. Those things aren't created by Native and Indigenous people, and so I thought, how cool would it be if I bridge the gap and not just bring my cultural story, but bring the story of other tribes and other members of different, you know, tribal affiliations, and work together to bring a collective story together and bring that into, not even the goal of bringing it into retail, but just to bring it into the world and show people that we can work together, that, you know, together we're stronger. And there's, you know, a thing that I like to say a lot, and it's community over competition. You know, a lot of times when you think about business in a big sense, or even the government, or how the, you know, the U.S. is set up, it was set up in a way that it divided us. And so what can I do to bring us together? And to me, it was through makeup. And so to be able to collaborate with amazing Indigenous and Native artists, and put our pictures on the boxes and use our colorful life stories and bring that to life. I knew it was something that hadn't been done in this way with eye products, eyeshadows specifically. And so I wanted to create something that not just women could use, but men could use. We have a lot of powwow dancers who use our eyeshadow palettes, the males who use them to, you know, do their regalia and get ready for powwows. And so to be able to partner with Stephen Paul Judd on my first, you know, 2 collections, and now Lauren's collection, I think that it just, you know, solidifies that drive and that purpose to want to be present and to represent in the correct way.
you kind of touched a little bit on the designs of your product. Can you go into it further and tell us more about the designs of all your products?
I've been a huge fan of Stevens for a long time. My kids, pretty much their wardrobe is like, I would say like 60 to 70% of Stevens designs, that he does in collaboration with the natives. And I shop other native owned businesses that make sizes for kids. And so my kids normally don't wear anything that's not indigenous made unless it's like a pair of Jordans. But I'm like a huge fan of the people that I shop from, and so I have a lot of friends. I've made a lot of friends that are designers, and I like to dress myself and my children in these designs. And so when I thought about who they are as artists and who they are as people who impact our communities and give back and are just all around good people, I've just been a huge fan of Stevens for a really long time. And so our first collection actually came from a dream that I had. I dream most of my collections up, color stories and things like that. I like to paint. I paint a lot. I don't show them very much, but I do like to paint, and I write poetry and stuff like that. So when I have these vivid dreams or words that come to me, I like to write them down quickly so they're not fleeting, so I don't forget them. But I woke up out of a dream one night, and it was Steven, and he was asking me, what color should I use? And I was showing him these geometrical shapes because I love to work with geometrical shapes, which is something that Steven also likes to do. And so I said, you know what, I'm seeing this, and this. And so I woke up from that dream, and I actually DM'd him on Instagram, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And mind you, like, I'm happily married and Steven's happily in a relationship. But I just DM'd him, and I was like, hey man, I just had this very vivid dream, and this is what I saw. Like, if you're ever interested in doing collaboration on some makeup brushes, I didn't really ever think about launching my cosmetics part of it until, that was like my 5-year plan. And he actually DM'd me back. He was painting, and he was like, and what else did you see? And I was like, I just saw 2 people representing on this packaging, on this box that I was going to put this beautiful brush set into. And he was like, you know what? I'm about to go to bed, but here's my number. Call me, like, not on artist hours, which I was, on artist hours as well. So we ended up connecting a couple of days later, and then that's where, the whole process of the first Prados X Stephen Paul Judd collection came. And we ended up making a full collection, and we ended up dropping it in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic, and that was super, super scary.
And how did the product go during the pandemic?
You know what? I had stopped. I was working on this brush set, which has never came out, actually. It's a brush set that still has not been released, and I'll probably release it on our 5th birthday just because it was something that was supposed to come out for the very first time, but I'm going to save it for the 5th birthday and donate 100% of the proceeds of that, because launching during the pandemic was, not something that I was planning to do. I was planning to, launch it at the end of 2020, but we ended up pushing it or accelerating that launch to, the first Indigenous Peoples Day, and that's in October. And we really did it in October because we saw that COVID was not letting up, like it was just getting worse. And so at the beginning of 2020, in February and March, I completely stopped working on Prados, and I just started crowdfunding money, raising money to purchase PPE, because I was in I used to be a safety manager, and so I still had connections with the people that made our PPE. and they stopped, doing the stuff that they would normally make and just started making, gloves and masks and suits and stuff. And so, all I needed was the money. I had the resource to have the stuff made. And so I got on a call one day with Steven. I was like, hey, man, like, I'm thinking maybe we should accelerate the launch so that we could use the launch money to purchase more PPE. And he was like, heck yeah, let's do it. He's like, but you're just going to make brushes? And he's like, don't you think you should make like something else? And so I sent him over a die cut for an eyeshadow palette. And I said, can you try to put the artwork on this? And so that's where it started. We sent it over to Cassie, which is our lead branding designer. And she ended up making, this beautiful, placing Steven's stuff, and we sent it back and forth between myself, Steven, and Cassie. And then we was like, you know what, maybe we should come out with more stuff. And so we ended up like putting it on like 5 different products, and that's how pretty much how the collection came about. And then Steven and I, once I received everything, we just made a collective, agreement that we were going to donate 50% of the proceeds to that collection back to buying PPE and just giving it back to people in need. And it was a successful launch. People loved it. People were shopping online at that time. So it was easy for us to mail it to people, and people just loved it. And they loved that, your money wasn't going towards, some influencer who's going to inject it into their lips and their butts. Like, it was going to like a good need, a good purpose. And so we ended up raising like $23,000 in crowdfunding, and then we ended up giving back like over $50,000 of this collection, and unfortunately paying for some funerals and paying for medication and wood and water and medicine and clothes, shoes, jackets, food. We ended up sending PPE to a lot of police departments within the Navajo reservation, the Zuni people, sending stuff to the Amazon, to Mexico, to Canada. And I think it was just an important driver for people to see that we were doing what we said we were going to do. And I think that that's what's made Prados very successful in this space.
Oh, yes, definitely. Thank you for sharing that remarkable story, CeCe. I can't imagine. I know COVID has really affected many businesses, entrepreneurs, but I'm so great to hear that your company was able to launch this new product, and you were also all able to kind of give back to the community as well. That is such an amazing story. So kind of talking about your products, and you did talk about your collaboration with Steven, but do you have any other collaboration? I know you just recently did one with Lauren Goodday.
Yeah, we just dropped that for this Indigenous Peoples Day. It's so funny. I wrote down on a mood board 2 years ago, because I do mood boards at the beginning of our year, which is not in January. It starts later on, but I do a mood board every year, and one of the things on my mood board was to work with Lauren Goodday. And I actually hopped on a live again on artist hours. He was doing the live at like 1 a.m. and I hopped on the live because I was taking a break from what I was designing. And she was like, when are we going to do a Lauren / Prados collection, Nay? And I was like, girl, no, Nay, like, let's do it. And so the very next day I sent a DM. I was like, are you serious? Like, is this something that you would really want to do? And she's like, yes. Like, so this was a year out, and the friendship that I have built with Lauren is just so beautiful. It's built on, she's a mother, I'm a mother. She's an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur. A lot of people don't understand that space could be really lonely when you don't understand the nuances and the things that come with being an entrepreneur and being an artist and being a parent and being a partner. Like, it can be a lot. And so that friendship just flourished in that thought that, it's not really about the collaboration. It's about the story that we put behind our work and the purpose of why we do what we do. And then came the collection, you know. So she designed something, you know, and I want to say it took her like 3 or 4 months to just really design something that she felt represented her and represented her people and her family. And you know, now when you see the Lauren Good Day collection and you see the 4 female figurines, and they are powwow dancers. Lauren is an amazing powwow dancer. She's a traditional dancer, and she has some of the most beautiful regalia, and the way she moves and the way she teaches her children to dance, and she loves going on the powwow trail when it's happening. And I was able to join her when we were shooting the campaign to a couple places, and just to really get like a first-hand experience at, you know, how she does things. It's just it completely leaves me inspired, you know, and it doesn't end at this collection. It leaves me inspired to continue to collaborate with people and create collections that are so meaningful and purposeful. But we came out with the limited edition VIP box. It's almost gone, and it has 4 mini eyeshadow palettes, which is the first time we've ever done anything like that. I usually come out with a big 30-pan eyeshadow palette, but you know, powwow dancers are always on the go. So she's like, we need to make something that we could put in our makeup bags, and so we came out with the 4 mini eyeshadow palettes. We came out with a chocolate brown eyeliner because I love eyeliner. Lauren loves eyeliner. We came out with 3 lipsticks and 3 pairs of lashes, and the collection is called the Grand Entry collection, and that's what the big eyeshadow palette's called. It's the first time we've ever come out with duochromes and glitters. Lauren is a duochrome and glitter girl, and so she got to pick her colors and work on, you know, fixing formulations and things like that she thought needed to, you know, be improved. And to see her be so happy with that collection and her daughters play with it and wear it. It's our first collection that we come out that's talc-free, and it's always vegan and cruelty-free. So that was something that was really important to both of us. And it's just a beautiful collection, and I'm so happy with it, and I look forward to more collaborations, not just with Lauren, but with other Native and Indigenous artists.
Oh, yes, definitely. I can't wait to see your other collaboration, because it really sounds like you guys really get together, and the relationship that you build out of it and all the amazing work that you do together is amazing, and for the community as well. And CeCe, you did mention something earlier, how were you able to kind of juggle everything, kind of maintaining your business, working on collaboration with others, but also being a parent and having that family to also to kind of hold together as well?
Honestly, I think I have ADHD, so I think a little bit of that comes into play. You know, I just can't sit still. I always have to be doing something. I do get tired though, and I know that my staff and my business partners, they'll start to see me, you know, it takes a toll, you know, and they're just like, if you don't slow down, like, your body is literally gonna shut down, and that's happened a few times. You know, I think that mental health in the entrepreneur space doesn't get talked about enough. I've experienced burnout. I've experienced, you know, just working myself to the point that I get so exhausted that it starts to take a toll. And so I've learned, though, in that experience, to set boundaries, not just for others, but for myself, to really put myself first, and to take care of my mental health. I see a therapist frequently. I'm off of my medication. I was on, you know, medication for a couple of years. I suffered with postpartum. It was pretty bad, but I think doing the work and just giving yourself a chance really to heal and be patient with yourself. Nothing happens, you know, overnight. It's a process, it's a time, and I still see in our, in my culture that, the men don't talk about mental health. Sometimes the women, don't have the freedom or the space to talk about mental health because it gets shut down. And I'm always like, no, like I want to listen because when you be one and you teach one, you learn that by listening. And so for me, it's the tools that I've incorporated into my life as a wife and a mother and as an entrepreneur and as an employer and as a friend and as a sister who's, the oldest sister. All of those things come together when you take care of yourself first. And I think that culturally, sometimes we are not taught that, to take care of ourselves first. And so I really speak about that a lot. And really, for me, it's if I'm working on something and I'm not giving my best into it, people will feel that. It's like when you don't put your all or your intention into something, like it's you need to look at it and be like, oh, well, that was not made with, the care that you would put into something that you love and you're passionate about. I never want to do that. So really creating and putting, the Prados brand on something, I want it to be good medicine. I want it to be something that people open and they experience and that they love it. We do that when we package orders. The tissue paper and the stickers and the things that we add to orders when you buy from us. I want it to be an experience because you don't know what the other person is going through when they receive it. So when they open up a box or they open up a package and it's just full of love and light, I feel like people feel that. And so for me, it's not just for myself, but also for my staff, that we incorporate those things. And I think it also comes with just getting a little bit older. I'm gonna be 39 in March, and wisdom, you pick up some wisdom along the way, and I think that being able to share your experiences and to just give advice to people, I think that that's so profound, and I'm thankful for those who have poured into me and have taught me to be good to myself and to set boundaries and I think sometimes Prados crosses over as not just like a beauty brand, but like as a place where you can come to be loved.
Thank you so much for sharing that, CeCe. Thank you for sharing your experience and also sharing this amazing advice with all of us, because we definitely can all relate to this no matter what fields or area that we are all in. Thank you for sharing that.
We'll continue our interview with CeCe Meadows. Support for KRDP 90.7 FM comes in part from Native Health, with 2 locations in Phoenix, 4041 North Central Avenue, Building C, near the corner of Central Avenue and Indian School Road, and at 2423 West Dunlap Avenue. Native Health is also located in Mesa at 777 West Southern Avenue, near the corner of Southern Avenue and Extension Road. Native Health provides primary medical, dental, behavioral health, WIC, and wellness services for the urban Native American community. For more information, call 602-279-5262 or visit our webpage at nativehealthphoenix.org. Native Talk Arizona returns after this song. You are listening to The It Girl by Ray Zaragoza.
Could tell I was living in a world that wasn't made for brown-skinned girls. Just you wait, it'll be your turn. And in the mirror I would say to her, I could be the it girl, can't you see? I could be the face on the magazine. Paint me like a debutante, your prom queen. Pretty little it girl, yeah, that's me.
CeCe, what drives or motivates you in your career?
It would be my children. Our children are our legacies. And for me, there are times where I look back and I'm tired, and I'm like, what would happen if I took a step back, or what would happen if Prados, went away? What would happen if I, closed it down and just took a slower approach to life, and just focused on being a mom, and a wife and a friend. And I have those conversations with myself sometimes, and sometimes I'll have them with my friends, and at the end of the conversation I'll just be in tears, because I don't ever see that being something that I could go through go through with, like, and the reason for that is because my children are watching. My kids are, my biggest cheerleaders. They're my little PR and marketer people. They go to school with, lipsticks for their teachers and their little card stocks that they give to their friends. And I'll, ask, like, what happened to all our card stocks? It's like, oh, I gave it away. I took it to school. And, teaching them the value of hard work, teaching them the value of $1. I was raised that way. We did not have a lot growing up. And if we wanted something, we had to work for it. You had to go out and get a job. I've been working since I was 12, and I teach that to my kids. Like, yes, there are some things that come with being successful and having the freedom to take your kids places and have them experience things. But I would say that my kids are my biggest drivers, because I don't want them to be spoiled. I want them to always be humble and caring and kind. We're about getting ready to do a market here in Las Cruces. We call it the Last Minute Market. I'm putting it on at my warehouse, and we're having vendors come in and just people doing last minute shopping. And my kids are going to help us because we are asking the vendors to donate jackets and sweaters, and we're raising funds to buy shoes for kids that are in need. And my kids see that. And so having them be able to understand that, yes, you can sell something and make money, but what you do with that money is more impactful than the joy that you would get from holding $10 for a few minutes. Like, there's more purpose in life than just taking care of yourself or being successful and having things. There is a joy that's unexplainable by giving back and helping someone else in need. And so I think that I teach that to my kids, but I also teach that to our followers and the people that support us, And so it's not a place where you just come buy things and, where consumerism happens, but it's a place where we get to give back and teach people that, be good to yourself and be good to others. And so I don't know if I'll ever be able to quit. Hopefully one of these kids will grow up and, get an MBA, because I didn't, and make it easier to run business, or, understand and listen to all the hard knocks I had to go through, so they don't have to make the same mistakes, and take it further than I ever could. That is my goal.
Oh, wow, that is amazing. And I love how you involved your family into your business and everything. So that is so amazing. Thank you for sharing that, CeCe. But CeCe, what do you consider to be one of your biggest accomplishments?
That's a good question. I used to think that my biggest accomplishment with Prados was just to be able to launch and because I'd started that in my daughter's nursery. That was like the first big accomplishment. And then the second was getting to work with Steven, and then getting to work with Lauren, and then, just put out these, collections that were big in my mind, that are big in my mind. And those are, some of my biggest accomplishments. When we got into JCPenney, that was one of the biggest accomplishments. And then when we started getting requests from, Native and Indigenous produced films and shows, to send makeup, they wanted to use, Prados makeup, on set for shows and for films. Like, that was one of the biggest accomplishments. I think that wrapped in together, all of those big accomplishments just go back to being able to be alive, like to survive the things that I've been through, and to be able to put my dreams out there and that people receive them. I think that that's my biggest accomplishment, to be able to dream up and put this thing into a tangible thing that others could hold and that they share it. I think that as a whole is my biggest accomplishment, just to be able to represent and tell stories and then give it all back. Like that is an accomplishment to me, and that's the biggest part of, you know, why I do what I do. So while we get accolades and you know, we won the Allure Best of Beauty last year for our matriarch eyeshadow palette, and we get nominated for awards, and you know, we go viral on TikTok, or you know, just a lot of big things that you should be, you know, that I'm super grateful for, and I consider those accomplishments. I think at the end of the day, the biggest accomplishment is just, like I said, to be able to dream something big and put it in a tangible product and be able to share it with the world and it be good. It's not all cheap or anything.
Oh, yes, and it's really remarkable of all the different milestones you have accomplished and definitely evolved from your daughter's nursery to today. That is so amazing to hear and see how successful you are. And CeCe, can you tell us some more about the amazing awards that you have received for your makeup line?
Yeah, so in 2022, last year, we won the Allure Best of Beauty Award for our matriarch eyeshadow palette. My really good friend, Andrew Sotomayor, who is an Emmy award-winning makeup artist, he works a lot within the Indigenous and Native space, and he's just an incredible person. He sent me a link one time at like 11 p.m. and he was like, hey, I was just told that Allure is still accepting submissions for awards. And I was like, I'm not about to pay for an award, because a lot of people don't know those awards are, you pay to get awards. And I didn't have the budget for it. And I was like, I'm not going to pay to submit for an award. And he's like, no, they opened their submissions. Like, you can submit your application like for free. And I was like, okay, well, I'll do that. So I went on and I submitted, you know, the matriarch collection as a whole. And then I submitted the matriarch eyeshadow palette in its own in the best of eyeshadow category. And they had like Natasha Denona, they had Fenty, they had Gucci, they had YSL, they had all of these big Makeup by Mario, they had Too Faced, like all of these big brands that you've heard of that have millions of dollars in marketing and PR, you know, budgets, and then here comes Prados Beauty, like we have $0. It was a long shot for me. I just did it because, you know, I thought, you know what if, you know, dream big, what if? And lo and behold, we got the email like 2 months later, that we were the best of beauty in the eyeshadow category, and I literally like fell to the floor because I could not believe it. And that was something that was super like awesome to get, because now you get to put like your Allure Best of Beauty and so sticker on it, and you can go in the JCPenney, or you know, you order from our website, you'll get a matriarch eyeshadow palette that has the Allure Best of Beauty sticker on it. And for me, it's just kind of like, you know, there's a beautiful Navajo woman on a horse on this eyeshadow palette, and it's the best of beauty, and that had never been done before. And so I'm super proud of that award, and I will talk about it until, you know, I'm 90.
Oh, wow, that is so amazing. I bet it was a really rewarding feeling.
It was such a rewarding feeling, because you think about all of the big brands that we beat out, and I use those brands, you know, still, but it was just like a surreal thing, like, man, we are in the same category as them. And I'm like, I wonder if Rihanna knows who we are since we beat her eyeshadow palette.
I'm sure she does now. And it's so amazing how your product is in some of the JCPenney stores as well. That is such a huge accomplishment. And CeCe, I know you gave us a little bit story of kind of like your background and your upbringing. Can you share with us how has your cultural identity impacted your career journey this far?
I attribute, everything that Prados is to my cultural identity and, where I come from. And I think for a long time growing up, as a kid who's raised in like a farm community where, there was, not a lot of representation or the freedom to represent who you were as you were, and you kind of are encouraged to, shape yourself into what Western society says beauty is. And for me, I have very melanated skin. I would get really dark during the summers, and I probably don't have very many photos of me as a teenager because I always wore too light foundation or, like trying to look lighter or dyeing my hair blonde or, having highlights and stuff like that, and just not really looking like my authentic self. And that took a lot of work to be able to just figure out that, I'm beautiful as a Chicana indigenous woman. I don't have to look like this. And my cultural identity and growing into who I am, not just as a person, but as a Chicana and an indigenous person, it's something that I still do every single day, and something that I teach to my children. And I think that Prados beauty and the color stories and the way that we market and the way that we write, the way that I write when I'm doing, presentations or I'm writing about my collections and the things like that, like those are the words of my grandparents and the words of my aunties and my uncles and my tios and my tias. And to go into to be able to spend time in Mexico and to come back to Arizona and in California and be with family and learn, that we're not really that different. We've just, some have, taken on more of the Western culture than, others have, and really blending those together and trying to figure out like who you are as a person, and then bringing that to life through the things that you produce and the things that I design. That has been a big learner for me, but also a teaching moment for my children, to love their brown skin, to love their long hair, and to teach them how to take up for themselves and how to educate others when you don't want them to touch your hair, or when you don't want them to, touch your earrings when you're a boy, and being told that you're a girl because you wear earrings or you have long hair, or, even in sports, being told that you're going to have to cut your hair. It's like, no, no, you don't. So I think cultural identity for me is something that I'm super proud of and still learning every day, reconnecting with family and finding family and reconnecting and learning their stories and the things that, they've been through. I think that's, sometimes it can be hard, but also it's something that brings me a lot of joy to be able to know where I am, where I come from, and to walk in pride in that. So cultural identity is definitely something that that I'm super proud of, and I instill that into my children and in the things that I do every single day.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to enter this same field?
My biggest advice for them would be to just do it. Like, I mentee a few entrepreneurs who are small business owners, and I find that one of the main things that stops a person from doing something is their mind. They cut their head off before they even attempt to do the things that they want to do because of fear. And I would just say, just go for it. Like, just do it. There is no shame in failing at something. I think sometimes people think that, successful businesses just went from like startup to success. Like, they don't understand that there are so many highs and lows, and more lows in trying to get, set up and started. And I know for me, it's always been about funding and getting, the right representation as far as PR and marketing, and that's a whole different conversation. But like, one of the biggest things that I would advise someone who's trying to start a small business or get into the beauty space or do what they want to do is just do it. Like, don't focus on the negative or your fears, but just focus and manifest and dream up and speak the positive things that you want to see in your business, and be able to focus on, there's a saying my husband says, don't borrow trouble. And I will do that a lot. I will focus on, like, what if this? And he's like, well, you don't know if that will ever happen, so don't borrow trouble. Like, just go for it. And so that's my same advice, get all your ducks in a row and launch, set up your table, or, launch your website, or approach your friends and family, approach, your coworkers if you're still working, and get ideas off of them. And see, they're so willing to, like, help someone do something on their own. Like, I can't even begin to express, like, the joy that I've had with my friend group and how they've encouraged me with my dreams and the things that I do. Friendship and the people who are really there to rally behind you is so important in this space. And so that's just my biggest advice. Just go for it. Just do it. Do your homework. Figure out how things are set up, money-wise, taxes, copyright, trademarks. These are all things that I did in a nursery. So if I did them, like, so can you. And, just work hard. Nothing is handed to you. Nothing comes easy. But when you put your love and your joy into something, my grandmother always tells me that anything done with heart, with a good heart, can never go wrong. And so that's my advice.
Oh, yes, definitely. The possibilities are endless. And I really love how you said, don't borrow trouble. That is perfect. That is a perfect advice for everyone. How can our listeners learn more about Prados Beauty, and how can they contact you, or who can they contact if they have further questions?
Yeah, you can send me an email at CeCe@pradosbeauty.com. I love to respond to emails and give advice. I like to connect people. I feel like connection is a big thing that our people sometimes don't do. Like, they have this mindset that they have to do it on their own, but I'll tell you right now that without connection and community, it'll take you a lot longer. And so being able to connect people and to encourage people is something that I love to do. So you could just send me an email at CeCe@pradosbeauty.com. You can go to our website, which is pradosbeauty.com. Shop our products, or if you want to send us an email, down at the bottom there's a contact form. And if you're on social media, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. It's just Prados Beauty. And if you want to in person meet, you can come to Las Cruces, New Mexico. I'm pretty much in my office most days, so our store is open from 9 to 4 every day, and we give quite a bit of tours. People will stop through when they're going to places, and I really love that. They'll stop by and, can I get a tour? And I'm like, absolutely. Like, you helped me build this, so yeah, let me show you what you helped me do. And so I love to do that too. But yeah, social media, website, and email.
Oh, yes. And I would also like to thank you, CeCe, for accepting our invitation and really just looking beyond the beauty labels and really getting to know you. I really loved all of the stories that you shared, because you are you do have an amazing story behind your business that I wasn't even aware about. So it's just so great to hear and also to share it with others.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. Anything that has to do with Arizona, my beautiful home, and helping to share stories and bring people together. It's truly an honor to be able to do that. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Native Talk Arizona, supported by Native Health and KRDP 90.7 FM. Audio editing by Javier Quiroga, and the executive producer is Susan Levy. And I'm host Lanasha Puwadi. We hope you tune in again next week. If you have any questions, please email us at nativetalkaz@radiophoenix.org.